Max, Dad is so happy. He's happy now.
Why?
Because Arkansas benched Cole Kelly. He is so happy. But he is questioning the coaching staff for it, taking them 3 weeks to figure it out.
I found that out Monday that they were going to do that. But they reached in there and got the Story kid that's going to do it. He's the only one of the 4 quarterbacks that didn't play last week. So
yeah, but
they must have been saving him.
He didn't know what those coaches were looking at. It's kind of like maybe those Cleveland Brown coaches. Just get Baker Mayfield on the field.
Well, they finally got a win last night, so,
Yeah, they got Baker out there. Anyway, Dad, you with us? Are you still celebrating?
No, I'm right there. I'm right here listening. I'm serious. I can't figure out how when a guy throws into double coverage and is selfish as that 6'9" quarterback was, it wouldn't take me but one practice to put his fanny down at the end of the bench.
Coach, I'm going to tell you that. I mean, you're in the majority. I had a chance a few years back, right after Lou Holt stepped down, and I was visiting with him. Of course, Skip and I went to Florida State together, so had a good time to visit with his family several times. And I asked him one time, we were talking about passing game and all. He said, I love to run the football and all. He said, but I guarantee you, if I got a quarterback, he'll never throw more than 2 interceptions. I said, Coach, why is that? Because he said, after the second one, he's going to be standing by me the rest of the game. Yeah. So I agree with you, Coach. I don't know. And even the guy that I have a pretty tight end with over there that goes to practice every day, they don't know either. They don't know what's going on.
Come on, guys. You got to let them play through their mistakes.
No, not him.
He's earned that right.
Yeah, if you're playing Alabama, that's one thing. But if you're playing North Texas State, then no.
Max, let me ask you this on a serious note. If you're Jimbo Fisher, would one of your plans be, and I didn't even run this by Dad yet, but if this were me, I would not run a play until the play clock it was all the way under 5 seconds. I would try to run as much clock as I could to where you look up at Alabama, man, they only had 5 possessions. If you can get first downs, obviously, and I would run that play clock down all the way and snap it at 1 if I could to try to keep it. Is that possible to do?
That's reasonable. No, but you're going to have, you're going to end up getting delayed game penalties and that kind of stuff. And the thing that they can't stand is going from a 3rd and 2 to 3rd and 7. That's the thing, and that's why Alabama. When you get ready to play Alabama at that level right now, Barry, there's 100 things you'd like to try to do, but they're going to dictate what you do. I'm going to tell you, they're going to dictate to you what you got to do. If you want to, if you want to stay competitive, they get behind, they're going to make them throw it. And when they throw it, they go to a nickel and dime package, and they go pick them.
Yeah, if they can't make me snap it now, I can snap it under 5.
But precision-wise, that's a great philosophy. But you ain't on the field in front of 90,000 people with the center and the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's a whole different world. It ain't like being in in front of 10 or 15,000 in an auditorium. We're talking about 90,000 now. Most of them been partying since the night before. So it's a whole different atmosphere out there, and the personal thing that gets involved. The mistakes you make just as inadvertently. You don't plan that, but sometimes your mind doesn't work like your feet should or whatever.
Well, does that make your players, and I would practice that. I mean, I think you can do it, snap it under 5, but would that make your players send the wrong message? Hey, we're scared, we're not playing our game? Or do you look at that, hey, that's our game plan, it gives us the best way to beat Alabama?
It's the way you sit.
Yeah.
You should have heard the interviews from Ole Miss players this week. Oh, my God, you talking about turmoil. How about this? Alabama, Metcalf, the big wide receiver, caught the first touchdown pass. After the game, he was interviewed, and he said, we just took Alabama too lightly. What are they doing over there? I mean, what are they telling these kids? Did they not show them a tape at all, the opposition? It's just Alabama is in a different league. Yeah, you know that. And I think Jimbo's done the best job of any of the 6 coaches. I really do, coming from where he was with that program to where they, and the only thing I have to judge that I've seen them is against Clemson. Now, can they play that well again? I think that's his challenge. If they play that well, they probably lose by 2 touchdowns. If they don't play that well, they're going to lose by 40 points.
Max, Max, we have a situation where player number 6 left Auburn yesterday, and the redshirt rule has backfired a little bit in that it was supposed to be for freshmen, and now it's for sophomores and juniors, and they've got something that they can't do anything about until they meet again next year and change the rule a little bit. I said on the radio yesterday somewhere that you would be afraid to go to Coach Bryant or Coach Saban and suggest that you're going to want to transfer. But some of these other coaches, I don't think that they have the clout or the atmosphere that they had and have in Coach Saban. And I think this is these kids are going to count their numbers and how many games they're going to play in, and there's going to be more of them leave.
Yeah, I think we're going to see, and in fact, I heard a couple of interviews on some national and regional radio yesterday afternoon from, Tony Barnhart was one, and a couple others I heard said the same thing, coaches, that this is the weekend. After this weekend, we may see somewhat of a rash of them right now. But here's my contention about, and let's just take the Auburn situation. If everything was going smooth inside, like I'm not saying all programs, obviously, but some programs, I don't know that those high-profile kids would be wanting to leave. There's something else inside there, that we don't know. Either the communication is not there, or they verbally they get on them too hard.
What happened? That kick went through the goalpost for a 1 point loss. That's what stirred up some of them.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it's some things that. And look, guys, we know for whatever reason the kids today not like the word when we came along, and when we were coaching them, it's a different world out there. And I'm not saying good, bad, or otherwise, but you have to have more communication. These kids today grew up being, superstars when they were 10 years old. The good ones did. And, they're not used to being hollered at and screamed at and told what to do and, threatened that I'm going to bench you if you have too many mistakes in a ball game. They aren't accustomed to that. So I think it's communication and how you communicate with that. And then the game management about substitution. I've seen more games lost on the sideline than lost because of talent. Coaches make wrong decisions when to substitute, put the wrong guys in. There's just a complicated system out there with some coaches that they create that causes disharmony on the football.
Well, winning keeps you there, though. There's nobody left at LSU because the field goal went through.
Yeah, they all want to ring.
Winning keeps you there.
Yeah, winning creates a great atmosphere.
Absolutely, it does. And when you, and particularly if you were favored at home, you're supposed to win that ball game, but you don't. And then what the coaches get all frustrated, they take them out there on Sunday afternoon and Monday and run them, and I've been on through all that. It's a different world today. You got to handle it a little bit differently.
Max, Jimbo Fisher, he respects Coach Saban. He respects the Alabama program, but he's not one that's just heaping a bunch of praise on Alabama. He wants A&M to think they're not on the same level, but they're close, where other guys just rant and rave about, I think the guy at Arkansas State says the best football team he's ever seen, cleats. People just praise them. Jimbo's taking a different approach, not negative, just saying, hey, and he didn't say
by
it this
not
way.
talking,
by not talking as much, by not just praising them to death. Hey, we're going to go over there and give it our best shot. I think he brings an air of confidence maybe in that locker room where other people are just beat before they even show up. Talk about that for a minute.
First of all, he's been on his staff. Remember, he was on his staff, 4, 5, 6 years?
Yeah.
So he understands the inner workings first and foremost. And the second is he's won a national championship. He was at one of the best programs in the country. He brought it back there. He kept it there for a while, and it started to deteriorate. And of course, after he left, it's gone to the bottom, I think. But the fact is, he carries himself with a confidence. And look, guys, if you don't think he's a good footballer, if you'd seen the difference and just really paid attention to the spring game up to the Clemson game, that was as big a turnaround physically, I believe, that I've ever seen.
How many points is that worth, Max?
How many points?
Yeah.
Probably 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, I do believe that. I think they get beat, guys. I think Alabama. I think they'll go back and forth, and it depends on if Alabama doesn't turn it over, if their special teams plays well, I think, and I watched the special teams, that's the last thing, basically, that Jimbo's got to work on. But, check the rankings on recruiting right now. He's third in the nation, Alabama, Georgia, and him. So he's on the way back. He's using right now the assets that A&M's got, unlike other coaches that have been there before. Okay. I think he came there with that air of I don't want to call it arrogance, but confidence, and I think that transposes over to just what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Georgia plays Missouri. A lot of stuff about Vince Dooley's son being the offensive coordinator, and I think he took Tennessee at a hard time. They bust him all the time, and maybe he wasn't ready for that. I don't know, but do they have any kind of chance of throwing over Georgia and scoring and then holding them some?
Yeah. Now here's the thing that Georgia will see, and they'll have to make adjustments to, is their secondary with those wide receivers and with Drew Lock. Drew Lock threw 45 touchdown passes and 4,000 yards last year. And both their wide receivers guys are over 6'6", and both run 4.5s. So they're going to throw some football around on them. I look for them to, but here's the thing I think they're going to start with. I think they're going to get in the gun in the first 2 or 3 scripted plays. He's going to try to throw it 50 yards down the field. Try to get them to back off a little bit. Then they'll come back to the underneath patterns. I think they're going to give Georgia the biggest challenge they've had probably since Alabama played them last year. Not physically. I mean, look, and I don't think their defense is very good. Georgia will be able to sprint down the field and score. But I think Missouri's offense will give it a chance. Georgia's going to win the football game probably like 2 touchdowns just because they got more talent. But I think it'll be an interesting ball game for a half, at least, or maybe 3 quarters.
Yeah, the line's 14. Which direction would you go on that, Max, on the line?
I think Georgia covered. I think it'll be over, I think, on that. I'd give the 14 in a heartbeat. I think Georgia wins that one by maybe 20 or 25 points.
I think Chad Morris and Gus Malzahn close friends.
30.
Arkansas is 29.5. It opened at 24, Max. It went to 30. It's back to 29.5. Cole Kelly's out, who threw 5 picks last week. Is that line too high? I mean, 30 points?
No. Well, you know who's making the point score down? That's alumni. But, if that thing went from 28 to 30, that was all the Auburn folks jumped on it. When it dropped back down, a few of the Arkansas people think that, guys, look, I talk over that to some friends of mine on that, not on the staff, but that covers them twice a week or 3 days. In fact, I got one of them on the air with me today at lunch. And, he said, and he's from Arkansas, been an Arkansas fan all his life. He said it's the most unusual group. I think he's finally identified that Chad Morris couldn't take Bielema's players and convert them into his style of offense. I think that's what Morris thought he could do, but he can't do that. And that's why he's got a quarterback, not the Story kid that's going to start, the third guy, I think it's Norman, the freshman, that's been running that offense for a long time. He didn't want to throw, as bad as they were, he did not want to throw them in the game against Auburn at Auburn. He said if they had played it in Fayetteville, he said that might be different. So I think everybody's scratching their head. And if I had to guess, Chad Morris is probably scratching his too. So I think they've got some major problems. I thought they could win 6 or 7 this year, not like they're playing now. I mean, if they get 1 or 2, they're going to be less.
So that line doesn't bother you, 30. Wow.
No. It depends on what. Look, Auburn needs to win by 30, to be honest with you. They need to establish some. See, I got some real problems still with what Gus does down there. Who's calling the plays? Is it Chip Lindsey or is it Gus Malzahn? I think it's a combination. I think in critical situation, Gus takes it over. And I think that was obvious last week when they're down there was 4th and short, and they didn't put the quarterback under the center, put him in the gun, and tried to run a sweep. They lost 4 yards. That's Gus. That ain't Chip Kelly.
Well, Gus said he called the plays against Washington, and Chip called them against LSU, and he got a W.
Well, he gave the university $2 million. Come on, Gus.
Come on, Mac. He gave him $2 million.
Max, if Florida wins against Tennessee, they're sort of supposed to. Yep. But if Tennessee wins, they're not supposed to, and those Florida fans who are the worst in America, they were on me, they'll be marching.
Well, Well, I think, I did Buddy Martin's show last week, or first of this week down there, and we talked about that very thing. The fact is that the fans are so impatient, and they were spoiled all through the years. We know that. I think Dan Mullen takes them in there. I think you're going to basically see a different Florida football team. They know they're backs against the wall. They know they need to win. I'm going to say they got to win that football game for that program to move forward. Now, the other side of that, Jeremy Pruitt knows also that they got a chance. I think the line's at, 4.5 this morning?
4.5.
Yeah. So, I think Jeremy and them know they got it, but they don't have the talent. They don't have, I will say this, that I think the stadium will be full, and I think the fan base sees a glimmer of hope with Pruitt coming there. The recruiting class is already, in the top 10 anyway for next year, so they see some promise out of it. But Florida can't take anything for granted. I still say to you, and I said it to Buddy Martin and him in Gainesville this week, they're still playing the wrong quarterback. If they want to win, they better put the Emory Jones kid in there. He's the Jalen Hurts that we talked about 2 years ago. The kid's 6'1", 220, runs a 4.35, and can throw it through a rain shower. And that is Dan Mullen's quarterback. He says he don't want to throw him in a hostile environment. Well, why didn't he throw him in against Kentucky when they got behind? I don't know. And he says that the word I got, he's not ready yet. He can't read the coverages. But listen, guys, when you got one that can fly like that, you let him break the play down and let him run for his life. And ain't nobody going to catch him.
Max, the last game before we let you find out what's for supper is that South Carolina game. Derek Mason, he's mad at Notre Dame's coach. Notre Dame's coach is mad at him. He told him to keep moving. He knew where to find him. That's bullying, isn't it? He challenged him to a fight. South Carolina goes over there. They had a game canceled, so they've been beating on each other. They said the Will Muschamp had the toughest practices they've had all year last week during that off week. What happens in that game?
Well, what the line's 2.5 or something like that, 3. That's a pick 'em ball game. And I'll say this: I think Vanderbilt's got a chance. I don't think they win. I think South Carolina wins because they got depth in comparison to Vanderbilt. But I think Vanderbilt, and Schumer has a good day through. He threw for over 300 yards against Notre Dame. So if that be the case, I think that goes to the fourth quarter, and I think South Carolina comes away with a win in it. But Bentley's got to have a great day. The defense have got the secondary's got to play as good as they play because that's the best quarterback. He's not better than Fromm, but he's probably next best that they've had a chance to even look at on tape. So I think the game they missed last week, I'm sure, just not only the practice was rough, but they did a lot of planning, and I think Will knows he's got to win that football game, even though it is in Nashville. So I like South Carolina, and I think they cover.
Yeah.
Before you leave, what about State at Kentucky?
That's a great one. I just got off the phone with Matt White, who's the color analyst for Mississippi State. He does a show in our studio every day, and we had a long talk about that. And this is concerned. They had seen a quarterback like Terry Wilson. The kid's and he's bigger than I thought. The kid's 6'3", 210, and runs about a 4.4, and he's going to run the read option. And Mississippi State's defense hadn't seen that yet. He can throw it and run it, and I think that's going to be a good ball. I think Mississippi State wins it. I think the line's either 9 or 10. I think Mississippi State wins it, but they're not going to go cruising into Lexington and run up 40 points the first half. I don't believe. I think they win it in the third and fourth quarter because they got more depth than Kentucky.
All right, Max. More importantly, what's for supper?
Well, I'm doing the beer can chicken this weekend. I don't know whether you've ever done that. You take a whole fryer, you open a beer, or if you don't drink the beer, do the Coke, and set the chicken on the Coke. Just push the chicken down on the Coke, close the grill, and let the Coke or the beer boil up, and it keeps the meat warm and moist throughout the cooking. You let them cook about 2 hours at about 300. I keep my grill between 3 and 350. If you're using charcoal, you better check it, pretty regular. So that's the chicken, and then when it comes out, guys, it's kind of crispy on the outside, and it's so juicy on the inside. It just makes you water, make your mouth water. And I got potato salad, stuffed eggs on the side. I'll do a green salad for those of you that rather have that. I'll do garlic bread as I always do, and throw all that together. And for this time of year, Here's something that's a little unusual. I just got the recipe about a month ago. It's muscadine pie. I take the wild muscadines and I boil them out. I get the seed out. Use the pulp only. Take the pulp and the hull off. You let it boil. Cook it down. Use it just like you do a peach cobbler, but you use the muscadine cobbler. Put a bread crust over it. Stick it back in the oven. Warm it. Pull it out. Coach, I had to go with you. 1 scoop of vanilla ice cream on that warm muscadine pie is delicious.
You didn't get on the muscadine
Well,
pie.
I don't. I need to taste the muscadine pie. I'll just eat the ice cream around it if I don't like the pie.
He'll eat the crust.
Well, here's what you do. It's going to have to be a little tart, but you put enough sugar in it, see that you get that sweet tart taste with the bread, with the warm bread crumb on top. But that vanilla ice cream just pulls all of it together.
Well,
Max, great stuff, man. We appreciate
Thanks, Max.
it. Hopefully Cole Kelly won't get in the game. We want to talk about that on Monday.
Kelly shouldn't even make the trip.
They need to send him on over to let Mike Anderson take him on the basketball field court.
They need to send him to Montgomery and tell him it's Auburn.
He played Auburn,
Montgomery.
AUM. Thanks, Max.
All right, guys. Have a good week.